so let's spend just a quick minute here talking a little bit more about story inventory. So I'm going to kind of like rearrange myself here so that I can sort of do this for you guys live a little bit here. So, oops. So for you guys on the screen, I'm going to basically be doing a live demo here a little bit. So let me get set up here, and we'll get going here in just a second. So I'm going to sort of go into, I'm going to stop my share, and I'm going to go into Zoom here while we're doing this one. So I'm going to share my screen. Hold on just one quick second. Sort of share screen. All right, so let me share my screen. I'm going to pull this over here so I can do it, and then I'm going to change this here just a little bit. All right, so for those of you guys on the camera here, on the screen here, I'm going to dive in a little bit and just sort of do a live demo. So sorry for talking to you guys back here, but a little bit this way they can sort of see over my shoulder. So hopefully you guys can see on the screen here. I'm going to sort of take us in. So this is, again, sort of our chat room that we have. You can see it up on the screen here if you're looking this way. So the idea basically is that we're going to go in and sort of show you guys how to use the story inventory. So inside our folder here, we've got this sort of folder that's called Templates and Tools. So I'm going to go inside the Templates and Tools folder, and you've seen this before a little bit. This has, this has all of the documents that we're going to use as templates. So we've got a bunch of things that are in here, the outreach templates. We'll talk a little bit more about the content index in just a minute. But what I'm going to go into here is I'm going to open up this document called the story inventory. So I'm going to open this up right here as this template. Now, one of the key things when you open up the templates is do remember that don't sort of kind of write right in this one. You want to copy and make a copy of it. So I'll show you how we're going to do this one. I'm going to basically just click Document, and I'm going to copy the document. And I'm actually going to leave this in our folder here, in this sort of Monday folder. I'm just going to create this here, and I'm going to tell a story tonight about Hasan Minhaj. And so I'm going to do a story inventory right here, and I'll just call this Eric Custer example. So I'm going to leave this in here so you can see how it is, but I'm going to show you how to use this tonight. So this is, again, the story inventory that we're going to use. And the story inventory behind this one is really a document that's designed to help you essentially organize your thoughts. That's really what it's here to do. So it's a tool that's going to help you organize your thinking before you sit down to write a story. As I said, story is structure and story requires forethought, so that's why we're going to use this as a way to help you do that one. Now, in this structure, as you'll see, we've got kind of like some content at the bottom and the top. So the top is where you're going to write your story, and the bottom is where you're going to actually inventory your story. You're going to create the content. So I'm going to be telling the story a little bit of Hasan Minhaj. And so for those of you who don't know who Hasan Minhaj is, he is the creator of a show called The Patriot Act. He was the youngest correspondent on The Daily Show. And there's a really interesting story that he told on a podcast that I actually wanted to tell in my book. And so his story is actually the introduction that I use. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to actually use his story in what we're going to be doing tonight. So the basic story structure that I want to tell you about a little bit, and then I'll kind of inventory here, is he was on Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast, and he talked about this specific story where he said he was about 6 months away from having to go to law school. Now, his sister went to law school. He had no desire to go to law school. He wanted to be a stand-up comic, but his dad kind of gave him this ultimatum. He was living in his friend's attic, not doing particularly well, and so his dad said, hey, listen, you've got 6 months to figure this out, and then you're going to go to law school. So he sort of got nervous about it and was like, I got to do something. Stand-up wasn't working particularly well. He wasn't having a lot of luck in interviews, going out and doing auditions. So what he decided to do is launch a YouTube channel. Now, when he launched the YouTube channel, it didn't go well at the beginning. It was sort of like, didn't perform very well. He didn't have very many viewers. And so what he did is he actually took some of the money that his parents had put aside for law school and took some of it and invested in making better videos. And so rather than going out and kind of, again, trying to do what everyone else was doing, he sort of invested in himself. And he describes it as almost like creating his own graduate school. And it turned out it worked. His videos started to go viral. And as the very last act that Jon Stewart from The Daily Show did before he essentially retired, he hired Hasan Minhaj as the youngest Daily Show correspondent. And Hasan credits it to a series of happy accidents due to the YouTube channel and the fact that Jon Stewart thought this would be really powerful. So that's the story that I'm going to tell. It's purely based on a secondary interview. I'm going to talk about how to actually include that in the document that I'm going to do here to help give people a sense of this one. So I want to write that story up here about Hasan Minhaj and again, how he created his own graduate school. So let's sit down here and sort of map this out. So I've got my hero, and I'm going to write my hero here, Hasan Minhaj. He's my hero. And then I want to write some background pieces. So I'm going to put some background here. You know, he was born in, I don't know, I think he was born, I don't know when he was born. I'm going to say 1982. I think he's like 33 or something, like 32. But we'll say, I don't remember that exactly. He was born in UC, he lived in like sort of northern California. He attended UC Davis. His first job was in IT. And he was the youngest Daily Show correspondent. He's the host of the Patriot Act, and he hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner, right? So this is basically just some background stuff. Again, I can find this on Wikipedia and these things. And then let's say some links, right? I talked about some of those links. There was the Gary V podcast. In it, there was actually his YouTube channel. And again, I would put the actual links in here that I would be using. And then I would also put some things like his Wikipedia page and his LinkedIn page, right? Those are the things. Now, the key lesson that I want to take away from this story is I want to tell the story of the fact that he essentially decided to create his own graduate school to break into comedy. And so kind of my lesson here is I want to say is that you can create your own graduate degree, or graduate school, right? That's kind of what he did. He took his money and he invested in it to get better at it, but that way. That's kind of the lesson I want sort of the people to take away. Now, remember what we've got here is we've got these elements. We said the 3 Ds are really important. And so I'm going to go in and start to populate the 3 Ds now. So now what I've got done is I've got these 3 Ds. So again, I've got my background information here on him. I've got some quotes. I've got my lesson that I want to have. And now I want to put these things. So I'm going to start to just put some content down. So there are real quotes here, but I'm just going to sort of make these ones up as we go. So actually, sort of Jon Stewart gave an interview, said the reason we hired Hassan was his YouTube channel. So I'm going to use that quote. I'm also going to write I'm going to put down the quote that he gave where he said, my dad gave me a 6-month ultimatum on going to law school. And he gave a quote here as, I was so embarrassed about my first YouTube channel that I invested money to make it better. And then we'll put one more in here about how, my dad finally stopped pushing me to go to grad school when I was a host of White House host on C-SPAN of White House Correspondents' Dinner. All right? So these are just some of the things that I wrote down. These would be real quotes that I put in there. And then we've got these descriptive elements. These are these elements that I want to describe things. So descriptive elements oftentimes describe the person themselves. You may describe, again, some of the settings, the scenes. But again, it's these things that you want to go deeper a little bit to kind of take the reader inside when you have these story elements. So the first one we'll talk about here is we're going to talk about him. And so Hassan is a well-groomed, thin man, very fast talker who uses a lot of product in his hair. That's his joke. He makes that joke all the time. All right, we're going to talk about then the UC Davis coffee shop where he first performed stand-up. And then I'm also going to go into and describe in detail the first very bad YouTube video he did. All right, so that's, again, sort of some of these descriptive elements. I want to describe things in that way. And then the depth pieces, right? So maybe this is where I use stats and data. And so here I want to put down that there's 72,000 graduate students graduating per year, right? So remember, I'm talking about creating his own degree in that way. Maybe I want to use something here that describes, again, kind of some depth behind this one. An expert how a comedian had broken out using YouTube. And then I also want to put in here, so maybe a professor with a quote saying, not everyone should go to law school, right? So again, what I've done here, and the goal of this entire thing, is to start to kind of organize myself. Now, what we've got here is I've got the background information on my hero. I've got the lesson that I want to have, and then the 3 Ds. So what this does for me is it helps me sort of when I start to write, as we're going to talk about next week, to be able to have sort of content structured in a way that I can quickly turn that into a story. And that's really the secret of this document here is it's not meant to be particularly long. I mean, I did this, and again, it probably would have taken me longer if I was doing it for real, but I probably spent about 5 to 8 minutes just putting things down. So when you find things from interviews or from backgrounds, you want to put them in there. So any of the background stuff that's interesting on your hero, put these in here. These life and career moments are important. And then you've got these things about the links to it. You've got kind of the lesson you have, and then the 3 Ds. You want to make sure you have enough quotes. You want to make sure you have detailed elements and the depth behind it. So before starting anywhere, that's kind of what you want to do. So I'll pause there for questions a little bit. Does this help make sense a little bit of how to kind of inventory a story before you start. Again, the goal for this week is I want each and every one of you to try and inventory 3 stories that you think you might have. Now again, it's not going to take you particularly long, but I want you to go through and sort of populate this one. Create a new document for each one. Give us the background on the person, these sort of 4 to 10 interesting pieces on them. I want you to spend some time putting together kind of, again, the quotes you find about them, the sort of descriptive detail elements about them, and these last pieces of the depth behind it. Again, to Laura's question earlier about the research is really contextual. You want to put research in those sort of facts and figures and experts that help back these claims up. So any questions from anyone on the Zoom or anyone here? Yes, Laura.
What percentage of our story should we spend on the lesson? So we make sure that it's actually coming across that there's a point to this.
You'll see it's actually much more so about the show, don't tell. And I think that's partially when sometimes people get so worried about being so hammer people on the phone about hammer them over the head about the lesson that they forget to make the story interesting. So I would tell you want to have a lesson, but you also want to show that through the way that you tell the story. And so for me, you'll see when we actually do this next week, I'll show you how to write the story. I don't spend a ton of time on breaking out the lesson and this really going deep on it. I do sort of make sure that the story illustrates the point that I'm trying to make. So more than anything, I would want to say you want to tell the story in a way that makes it clear what the lesson is, and that's kind of the last piece of the story. Yes?
So we should be filling these out with the content index as well?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the content index in just a second. This is sort of again, you should inventory for every story you want to write. And again, think of the inventory as where you're going to be more extensive, because we're going to use all this content to actually write the story. So this is sort of this is the early structuring stuff that you're going to use to write the actual story. Some of the stuff that you're going to be finding in the content inventory or index is sort of shorter pieces. It's more of think of the content index as your to-do list, and think of this as the story outline, kind of what we're going to be using. So I would say you'll spend about 5% of the word count on the content inventory index and about 95% of the word count writing in this that way. Other questions from anyone else? All right, so this is, again, what I want you guys to try and do this week, because I want you to try and outline at least 3 stories in this way, because next week we're going to take this, I'm going to show you how to actually start to organize and structure your very first stories using this. So 3 of these in that way. So let me show you the second part of it. And again, I've left this as an example. It doesn't have to be much more extensive than what I put in there as that example. It can be, again, use real quotes, use real data. Again, write as much or as little as you want, but every word you write is likely to find itself included in the story you write. And that's an important thing to understand, is that the inventorying itself is not like extra work. It's not like outline and then you're going to write it. You're going to use all these quotes because you're actually use these quotes inside of it. The descriptive stuff, if I would have written, I probably would have written a paragraph about the UC Davis coffee shop. I probably would have written a couple paragraphs about the video that he would have put on YouTube. So write them out in as much detail, because then we're going to organize them in that way.